Hi everybody, Forerata Live here with another Keyforge video. This is another Mass Mutation spoilers video, this time House Logos. There have been so many cards revealed over the last week or so that I've had to split down my videos into the different houses, and this one's about Logos cards. So first up, a bit of really exciting news about Mass Mutations. We now have a new global release date. Mass Mutation will be coming out in China and Taiwan a little bit earlier at the end of May, but until now we didn't have a confirmed release date for Mass Mutations because of COVID-19. Now we know it will be on the 10th of July after this tweet that came out just recently. I am super excited about Mass Mutations. I've loved seeing the cards coming out. I think we'll have seen pretty much all of them by the next few days, and I think these are going to be some amazing combinations that we get in this new set. So I'm really looking forward to it coming out and wanted to make sure you knew 10th of July is the date to put in your diary. Now let's get stuck into House Logos and see what new cards are coming in Mass Mutations. First up, let's look at some creatures. Let's look at Adaptoid. It's a mutant creature. It puts a capture, damage and draw enhancement into your deck. 4 power. After you play a card with a bonus icon, for the remainder of the turn, Adaptoid gains one of either +2 armor, assault 2 or fight steel 1. So this is a rare card, putting 3 pips into your deck, which is good, and it's got an interesting effect. So it'll be, you know, sometimes you'll be able to pull something useful off with Adaptoid by giving it one of those powers. Sometimes maybe it's not going to add too much, but an interesting card to get in Mass Mutations, and another one of these cards that puts pips into your deck, which is good to see. Next up, a pair of cards. Now I've got to say Vellum Hide as a pair of cards were some of my favourites from the previous Logos sets, so I'm really pleased to see the same sort of theme here where you have the joined up artwork between the two cards, and you've got a kind of special rarity where you're hopefully going to see both of these in a deck. And here you've got Even Ivan and Odd Claude. So Even Ivan, 4 power, action. If your opponent has an even amount of amber, steal 1. And Odd Claude, 5 power, action. If your opponent has an odd amount of amber, steal 1. So if you get the 2 of these in your deck, you'll be able to kind of alternate the actions hopefully, and steal 2 amber, and some really interesting flavour text to go with the joined up artwork. So Ivan has been acting odd since the Dark Amber experiment. And then on Odd Claude, even Claude has to admit that the Dark Amber experiment was not entirely successful. So a really funny pair of cards there, and maybe not as super useful as Vellum Hide, which was a kind of draw and archive machine, but a really nice pair of cards to get in a few decks, I think. Now, Morph, another mutant creature, enhanced 2 draw cards, so they've been added into your deck. 4 power creature, so really this is all about those extra enhancements. Nothing much too else to say. A nice piece of artwork, an interesting creature, and good to see it in Logos. Now this is a card that we have actually, I think, just seen the English version of the card revealed, but the best picture I could get with the artwork was from a Polish deck that got revealed online. It's Professor Torato, a mutant scientist. Each mutant creature gains Reap, draw a card. So having him out on deck, with perhaps mutants in Logos or mutants in other houses, you're going to be able to do a lot of card draw. Now it says each mutant creature, so I'm pretty sure that's going to be a symmetric effect and also benefit your opponent potentially if they've got a load of mutants out. So you're going to have to think carefully about board state and what deck you're using, what deck they're using, but a nice piece of artwork there and a really interesting mutant. Now, a bit hard to see the artwork on this one, so apologies for the shine on the image, but this is the Archivist. It's a 3 power cyborg. If you archive the Archivist, archive it face up. While the Archivist is in your archives, instead of picking up all of your archives, you may choose to pick up any number of cards in your archives. So a bit of a tongue twister there, but this is giving you quite a lot of control over your archives. If you can get a lot in there, even if you've got a mix of houses, this is going to let you pick and choose what you pull out when. So that's going to be an interesting twist on the archives. Up until now, archives have been super powerful, but you've always had that compromise that it's all or nothing. So this is mixing that up, and again, I like the way Mass Mutations is really putting a bit of a twist on things we've got used to in Keyforge so far. Titan Engineer, another kind of Titan in Logos, 6 power creature. While Titan Engineer is not on a flank, keys cost +1. So I guess This is another big Logos creature with a key cost impact. It affects you as well though, so I guess again you'll want to try and play around it and play the timing of this pretty well. Okay, now having a quick look at the bot creatures. So these are the set of mutant creatures. Each house has one that share traits with other houses. So in this case the bot is the Logos part, and it gives every single one of these creatures Reap. Discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw a card. But you've got a Demobot, a Dinobot, a Lycobot, a Sacrobot, an Umbrabot and a Xenobot, which mix them up with the other houses. So things like the Demobot gives you Destroyed, Steal 1. The Sacrobot really just gives you a bit of extra power and 2 armor coming from Sanctum. Xenobot gives you Fight. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put 1 in your hand and 1 on the bottom of your deck. So we've seen these in the other sets, and really I just wanted to include them here so you can see the different artwork showing how the different houses affect these mutants. Next up, some artifacts. First one, Animator. Action. Move an artifact to a flank of its controller's battle line. For the remainder of the turn, it is a creature with 3 power that belongs to the active house. It leaves the battle line when it's no longer a creature. So this is a really crazy card that's completely mixing up artifact play. I really like this. So you could move one of your artifacts into your battle line and use it as a creature somehow. You could move one of your opponent's artifacts into their battle line, and then you can fight into it and destroy it. So it's a really excellent piece of artifact control. I think the opportunities are endless, and I really like the way FFG are kind of putting these crazy cards in. I'm not sure how we're going to use this, but I reckon that pretty quickly the community is going to find some crazy lines of play that use this type of effect to completely change the way the game works. So really excited to see this in some real decks and see what people can make of it. Next, Autoencoder, another artifact. After a card is discarded from your hand, archive the top card of your deck. So this is another way to kind of quickly discard cards out your hand, archive something else from your deck. So a really good way to kind of cycle through your deck if you need to. So quite liking that one. Autovac 5150. This is another artifact. Action. You may discard a card from your archives. If you do, keys cost +3 amber during your opponent's next turn. Otherwise, archive a card. So this is pretty good. So this is, you're calling Logos. So either you can archive a card, or you can use this action to discard a card from your archives that you don't necessarily want, thin out your archives, and you're going to get that +3 amber key cost turn after turn after turn. So that's a really great piece of key cost control in Logos, liking it. Now, Fission Bloom, another artifact. It puts an enhancement of a draw pip into your deck. Action. The next time you play a card this turn, resolve each of its bonus icons an additional time. So this is a really nice card to have out if you've got some decent cards in Logos that have a load of pips, because you're going to get twice the benefit from them. So whether that's amber pips, damage, draw, capture, etc. So again, in the right deck, this could be super powerful if you've got cards with 2 or 3 or maybe even more pips on it. Now, Forge Compiler. Lots of artifacts in Logos. This is another great one. After your opponent forges a key, destroy Forge Compiler and ward each friendly creature. So, you know, it's a one-time use. It's out there. Once your opponent forges a key, it wards everything you've got on the battle line. Your opponent's going to know it's coming, but I guess it gives you a bit of a kind of advantage to come back once a key's been forged against you. Now, this is probably the one I'm most excited about. If you like library access, then you're going to love Library Card. It's basically an artifact version of library access. So it has the action Purge Library Card. If you do, for the remainder of the turn, after you play a card, draw a card. And I guess the big advantage over library access is it's not sitting in your hand. You can play this out onto the board and then wait for a turn when you've either got a load of Logos cards and you think you're going to be able to draw lots. You can pick the right time to play it rather than having library access. Either play it or you're kind of chaining yourself by holding it in your hand all the time. Yes, the disadvantage is your opponent knows it's coming, and if they've got any artifact control, they're able to maybe get rid of this or even use it for themselves. So you know, a bit more risk and reward there, but I'm really liking this. I think this is a kind of upgrade over library access. Now let's see some actions, and I really like the artwork on this one. I really like the theme, causal loop, play, archive a card, archive causal loop. So I think this is going to be another card that you just keep recurring and recurring through your archives, and you're generating more cards into your archives. So I'm liking this, and again, I think it's one of those cards that once people start to get their heads around and they start to think of some little combinations with this is going to be a really powerful card to have in your deck. For a zap, an action, play, destroy each non-mutant creature, gain 1 chain. Wow, okay, so if you're up against a non-mass mutation deck from one of the previous sets, this is pretty much a board wipe against your opponent. They're not going to have any mutants. Maybe there were only a few, I think, in the previous sets. You're gaining a chain. As long as you don't have too many non-mutants out on the board, this is going to be a fairly useful board clear, so liking that as an action card. And there we have it. Those are all the new Mass Mutation Logos cards that have come out and been revealed in the last week or so. Some pretty exciting cards there. I actually think some of the artifacts there are some of the most powerful and impactful that we've seen in Mass Mutations. If you've liked this video, please do hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to check out some more of my Keyforge content. I also stream on Twitch, so if you want to see me playing some games of Keyforge on the Crucible, then please do follow me on Twitch as well at Vorata Live. Thank you very much for watching.